Guys, what is going on? This is episode 117 of From the Grave podcast. It's me. I'm your host, Scott Russell. In this episode, we get into a couple callers that sent in some voice memos and basically about excuses, making a decision or not making the decision to do something. Where does your loyalty lie? Does it lie in this world or does it lie to spiritual growth? And why even make it lie in spiritual growth? And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think about. I actually think that there's probably a lot of other stuff we talked about. I'm just completely drawing a blank right now. You're gonna have to listen to find out. If you want to participate in the whole voice memo thing, send in a recording and have us respond and have some fun with it. You can send that in to fromthegravepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's fromthegravepodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you like and subscribe to YouTube. Follow us on all Instagram, TikTok, all that shit. And we're going to have some fun, man. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Peace.
What's the eternal principle?
Brahman.
Which is?
Well, we call it God, but that personifies it.
Yeah, so how'd you like being a first-time ice bather?
Yeah, it was great. A lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be hard, you know. I didn't expect it to be that hard. Yeah.
40, you know, listen, 43 degrees for your first time is gnarly.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well go cold, you know?
Well, maybe not for you. Maybe
After that video, it's like...
yeah, maybe you should start at like 55.
Like 10 bags of ice instead of 12.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you know, it does, you feel like such one of those, it's a fad. It
is so hyped up right now. And there's so many ads about buying the actual ice bath and stuff like that.
Yeah, for $1,000 for a fucking bucket.
Yeah.
You can make one at home for cheap, for next to nothing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a fad, right? You get all like the inspirational videos of like sitting in it and just fucking starting to talk about motivating and changing your life while you're in the middle of an, you know, ice bath. And it's like, all right. But it does have, I do notice a significant difference for me as far as, just overall, you know, honestly, like mental health. Yeah, you can do the whole inflammation thing. I really don't get, if I do a hard workout and then I get into the ice bath after, I really don't get that sore. But I do notice a benefit of, not to get too spiritual, but like willingly jumping into a seriously uncomfortable, stimulating environment and being willing to sit in that until you overcome it.
Yeah.
Kind of like the opposite of what you did. It really helps.
I mean, at least I hit a minute, you know?
Yeah. A minute's good. A minute's good for your first time.
Yeah. But then I went back and tried it again. I still only got a minute.
I'm the master of my destiny. No, you're not.
I was trying to speak it into existence, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Well, the first minute, like once you, that's the hardest point. But like once you just embrace that sting and how uncomfortable it is, like right after that minute, you just it was so funny, dude. Let me see if I should play like a little clip from it.
Here, I mean, I could actually play it on my phone and it'll go through the speakers.
You can play it on your
Yeah,
phone?
I can play it. I can play it.
I didn't get, did Paul send you the video?
Part of
That's you.
Is that 3 minutes?
Was that 3 minutes? Was that 3 minutes?
That's not even like, I recorded like after you had settled down. I couldn't tell that you were joking. I mean, no, I thought that you were joking. You're like, I'm going to get out. I'm like, oh, he's obviously not going to get out.
I also think that we were like uncontrollably laughing, which made it 10 times worse. It made it so much harder.
Yeah, because
like,
when you move, if you move a little bit, it makes it
I was twitching the whole time, like uncontrollable. I was like,
yeah, dude. if you move just like a little bit, it's 10 times worse. Like there's some ice baths out there that have like circulating water while you're in them. Oh my God. I don't know if I could fucking do that.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple more people sending voice notes that you were going to play, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You didn't drop them into the chat though. So I don't have them.
I didn't?
No. Just drop them real quick and then we'll.
All right. Let me see. Okay.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, and if you're listening and you want to send a voice memo into the chat and have us play it like we're about to play it right now, you can do that. Just send it over to fromthegrave.podcast at gmail.com.
Perfect. All right, I got one. So should I roll it while you're sending the other? Or?
Sure.
Here we go.
I'm James. I'm from Ohio. Something I'm struggling with is I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't want to use today, and most days I don't. But I feel like going through the steps and having a sponsor is just an action done in vain. Sometimes I feel like I just don't want to stop, and that's just how I feel most days.
Sounded like a Mustang in the background there too.
Yeah, a little 5.0.
Yeah.
It was James, right?
James, yep.
James from Ohio. A lot of suffering in Ohio, man. Feels like doesn't know if he can make it. Most days he desires to stay sober. Some days he doesn't. Man. I mean, listen, dude. And then you feel like the whole 12-step thing is a thing done in vain. So I think when you say vain, it's just like you mean it's about you. Vain is like a conceited thing, right? But it is about you.
Yeah, I don't mean this in a harsh way in any way, but my experience has been that most people that feel that way maybe haven't done all the steps, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, did he say how long he was sober?
I don't think so.
No. Play it one more time. Can you play it one more time?
Yeah.
I'm James. I'm from Ohio. Something I'm struggling with is I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't want to use today, and most days I don't. But I feel like going through the steps and having a sponsor is just an action done in vain. Sometimes I feel like I just don't want to stop, and that's just how I feel most days.
Okay. Yeah, man. So, that's powerful because it's real. It's real as hell. And most people don't. Most people aren't ready to get real and raw like that. You can't do it, right? So I'll say it like this. I remember I was talking to one of my mentors years ago in New York. And I walked up to him, man. I'm like, dude, I'm just fucking struggling. Like, I don't know if I can do this, all this shit. And he goes, Scott, you can't do it. You can't do it. The solution for this thing is a spiritual approach. When you say, the 12 steps, having a sponsor, all that is an action done in vain, it is about you, man. It is about you. But right now, like even when it's about you, it's not about you because we're getting carved into people that are going to better the lives of others naturally, passively, just by becoming the highest version of ourselves. And we're going to take this new person out into the world. So you can have all the doubt you want in the world and still take positive, constructive action. The script for success in this is a patient, unhurried, gentle approach. The script for this is a patient, unhurried, gentle approach. I don't know how long you've been sober. Listen, man, the loudness of the mind can be overpowering sometimes, Um, thinking that you haven't, you can thinking that you haven't done enough, you can listen to that voice and let it take you into the darkness and you may never come back, and that's your prerogative. But if you're still showing up, we got to look at the evidence of your actions rather than your thoughts. Whether you have thoughts rolling around like, I don't know if I can make it, I don't know if I can do this, but you're still here and you're still moving forward in those actions, even though you're like, I just think this shit's in vain, da 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 da. Look at how you're living. Look at how you're living. Don't pay attention to the thoughts. The alcoholic mind, the addicted mind likes to talk a lot of shit. We take these actions in spite, in opposition to the mind. We take these actions in opposition to the mind. All the 12 steps are a set of ancient spiritual principles that, if practiced as a way of life, may change your fucking life. It may change your mind. It may change the state of your mind. You may have some type of psychic change. You may become the guy that doesn't walk around in self-doubt and says, I don't know if I can do this. You may wake up one day and say the greatest thing any one of us could ever say, which is, I'm okay. And it's good to be okay. That's all I ever wanted. But the question is, what do you got to lose by trying this thing out? More importantly, what do you got to gain? Because the question is like, how you doing? Like, how you doing? Are you happy? Are you everything you wanted to be? How are your emotions? How are your relationships with others? How are your finances? How's depression, anxiety, all these things? You take a look at your feet, you take a look at your actions, the state of your body, the state of your mind, the state of your emotional natures, and say, how are we doing? Are you happy with the payoff, with the bill of goods you have currently in your life right now? If you are, then by all means, if you're thriving, don't change anything. If you're not happy with the bill of goods, if you're not happy with the payoff you currently have in your life and the state of your mind, maybe it's time to do something different. Maybe it's time to walk right where you struggle. Walk right in the middle of the self-doubt. Because here's the thing, man. Could everybody be wrong and you be right? Look at it this way. Could this solution that you're seeing, whether it be the 12 steps, sponsorship, recovery, meditate, all this stuff that we're always talking about, all this beautiful spiritual stuff, could all these people that are living that way, could they all be wrong and the loudness of your mind be right? And we look at it that way, and we got to say, we got to admit that this recovery thing shows some fucking results. So at that point, like, who am I to debate? Why am I continuing to fight? Why am I continuing to debate? Why am I arguing? Why? Like, just stop. Enough. Just stop. Stop fucking fighting so much. And you can do it even in like a fuck you attitude. Like, all right, I don't think this thing is going to work. I think this whole thing's done in vain. It's full of shit. But you know what? Here I am. So let me give it a shot. You can do it that way too. The most important thing is you take action in opposition to the mind. Let the mind talk shit and do it anyways. If you have thoughts when you wake up or during the day, like you started that recording with, and you're like, I don't want to use today, and most days I don't, take that positive, constructive action anyways. And then also, when you have the negative thoughts of, I don't know if I can do this, this is kind of in vain, take positive construction action, constructive action anyways, because it doesn't fucking matter what the mind says. The mind's always going to talk shit. If I let the mind bend the knee a certain way, my whole life's going to change. It's going to get blown by the wind of my feelings in my mind every single day. And there's nothing more subject to change and in a constant state of change than the addict's mind and the alcoholic's mind. It is in a constant state of change. I mean, dude, you could either you could either be in, I'm the shit, I don't need this, I'm good. And then 30 seconds later, you're like, I'm a piece of shit, this is never going to work for me. And I could be that guy in 30 seconds. I could be both of those guys. So if I'm constantly bending to those thoughts, I'm going to be at complete division with myself, right? Scripture talks about a house divided against itself will not stand. If I'm divided against myself, that means there's no continuity. There's nothing I'm anchored to. There's no foundation. There's no bedrock. There's no principle. There's nothing unchanging. There's nothing immovable in me. I'm just blown and tossed about like a wave of the sea. I'm just a fucking leaf in the wind. You know what I mean? It's like, is that really the way I want to live? Do I want to be subject to just all these feelings and emotions that I have? This dude, Father Martin, says that feelings and emotions are the things we have the most of and know the least about. Dude, only recently in my life have I started to sit with feelings and emotions and start to navigate them and pay attention to them. In the beginning of my journey, it was like, I no longer give a shit what my mind or what my feelings have to say about the day or the action before me. I've made a decision to take non-negotiable, positive, constructive action. And that's what the fuck I'm going to do, whether I want to or not. Because the moment you decide to have a choice every day, that's when we fail. Because I don't know about you, all the data I had in my life of my power of choice, it was never a good choice. It was never shit that animated my life in a pretty way, in the way that I wanted it to be. So like, if I make a decision to work out every day, right? And this happens to me still to this day. Like I usually go to the gym after work. I remember last week I was dog tired. I just like wasn't in the fucking mood, you know? Was not in the mood. I literally sat in my car outside of work for probably 10 minutes thinking about how I didn't want to go to the gym and I didn't think I was going to go. I drove to the gym parking lot, sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes thinking about how I didn't want to go in there. And I'm like, what the fuck is this resistance? I've been 20 minutes staring at buildings, swearing I'm not going to go in, you know? And then finally, I remembered that I made a decision that I have no choice. I have no say in the matter. And I made a decision and I'm going to go take the action regardless. In the beginning, to be able to, you know, have that positive choice come up and just do it anyway of our own volition is very hard. That's why in the beginning, we rely on the connection and the guidance of other people to show us the way. But in the beginning, like, it's so difficult because my whole life has been stained in bad choices. All my choices have been about pain and pleasure. All my choices have been revolved around me and how I feel. And we're like, yo, if you want to change your life and get sober, that shit's got to go. Like that script isn't going to work anymore. It's like, if you walk around demanding to feel good, you might as well just go fucking do what feels good and drink and get high, because guess what? Like, you're not going to feel good, man, in the beginning. Like, shit ain't going to click. There's still days 7 years later where I'm not doing good. I don't feel good. The only thing that's changed from the 30-day sober Scott, or the guy that was just coming in the door, to the guy now about feeling good, is that back then when I didn't feel good, it wasn't fucking okay with me and I did something about it. Today, when I don't feel good, it's okay with me and I don't let my action change because I made a commitment. I have a non-negotiable way that I live my life, period, end of statement. To change your life is going to take eternal vigilance. It's going to take a commitment to die daily, as scripture talks about. We die daily for a life of freedom, of eternal freedom. So death is part of the process. And what needs to die is the loudness of the mind. And when we first get sober, and if we're not taking spiritual action, the mind will get even louder the longer we're not drinking and not drugging, because we ain't doing shit except existing without drugs and alcohol. And then you experience the loudness of the mind. But if you're going to get sober, that shit has got to be faced. But in the beginning, that shit is loud, dude. It is so loud. And I wasn't able to fight that or navigate or spearhead that myself. I just wasn't able to. So what showed me how loud the mind was taking action in opposition to my mind. We have to have simple actions in our life that can get us out of the state of mind that we're suffering in. Emmett Fox talks about these things as, they're basically scripts for raising our consciousness, where right now my mind is in, right now my mind is in problem and discontent. Nothing's okay. In order to be okay, then this has to change. And we're like, no. We actually have to face the problem right here, right now. So you could call a friend, ask them to remind you who you are and what your life's about. Be open to hearing the truth. You could go stand in the middle of truth in a connection with a group of other men who are walking with the same purpose and passion as you are. You could read some daily type of meditation, prayer, scripture, recovery book that can place your mind on a plane of inspiration and positivity and contemplate something greater rather than, drifting around in a sea of sorrow. Or, like I said, talk to the homies. That's one of the big ones for me. And then just to get out of your own fucking way, man. Get out of your own way. Think about somebody else for 30 seconds, right? Go get somebody a cup of coffee. But
Can I add two things?
Yeah, please.
So the first thing is that you do want to stay sober because you're sending a voice memo to From the Grave podcast.
Hey.
That's an action that you took.
There we go.
Just like showing up to a meeting when you don't want to, or, having a conversation with someone when you don't want to, or helping someone else. It's bringing the body and the mind following, right?
Yeah.
So congrats for sending in the voice memo. You do want to stay sober today, and you will.
Yes.
All right. And the second thing, in my personal experience, with the resistance to the step work and all that stuff, was that I gave myself a kind of time limit. Like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do recovery and the steps and everything that everyone tells me to do. I'm gonna do it for a year, and if my life doesn't get better, I go back to living the way that I wanted to live.
Yeah.
And by that year, everything had transformed.
Did it? Yeah.
It was so different that I was like, wow, I'm just gonna keep going.
How is it? And I love that. And I tell people, it's like, dude,
Yeah. Give it a try.
Yeah, you could be like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm going to show you this shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
So talk about, some of the changes, some of the biggest changes that happened in that year.
Well, the first thing that happened was obviously getting involved with recovery showed me that people in recovery had lives outside of recovery or outside of the rooms. Getting involved in a group showed me that people connected outside, going to dinner. People say, hey, we're going to so-and-so's apartment after the meeting. And, I saw that they had their own places and they had cars with insurance and, just like simple things like that. And that was really cool. That was like a reassurance and it was just that little piece of evidence that, that I needed to see that if they could do it, that I could do it. And I also by that time, I just built self-worth, self-respect. I built something that I was proud of that I didn't want to give back. Yeah. Let's dive into this other voice memo.
All right, let's do it. Thanks again, James, for sending that in, man. I hope that helped.
This is Alex. I'm originally from Alabama. I've been in Florida for about 2 years now. My question is, how do you go about balancing work and your recovery life outside of work. Because me personally, I work 2 to 10:30 Monday through Friday. I can't really hit any meetings because of that. And, by all accounts, obviously I can't really, work with sponsees or anything like that. So I was just asking a question, like, how do you balance that work life and the recovery life once you're into a full-time salaried job?
Alex, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a ton of bullshit to me, Alex. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my first job was at a pizza shop. I worked 9 to 9 and went to the 10 o'clock meeting 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I just found something that fit with my schedule.
Yeah. I mean, here's like a classic recovery answer that's so annoying, but it's so true. It's like you found time to fucking get high. You found plenty of time to get drunk. There wasn't nothing standing in your way.
You drove an hour both ways to cop.
Both ways, bro. I'd fucking turn anything. That came first before anything, dude. I always found time. But I don't know, dude. You described having a whole fucking morning to you're probably what? You stay in bed till like noon or 1 p.m., get out of bed, fucking clean up, and then go to work at 2. Like, if that's the case, yeah, man. I mean, like, you're just working at that point, I mean, listen, 2 to 10 fucking sucks. I know Paul works those exact hours.
He does, yeah.
Paul works those exact hours. He takes side gigs, does FTG podcasts, and keeps his recovery first no matter what. So
shout out Grateful Paul.
Shout out Grateful Paul, man. Fucking gangster out here in the streets. But listen, man, honestly, it just sounded like a lot of fucking excuses to me. It sounded like a lot of whining and you wanting it to be easy. And like, sorry, it's not. Like, listen, dude. I mean, dude, you wake up at fucking 6 or 7 in the morning, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. Like, dude, you got fucking 8 hours, bro. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. Like, morning meetings are number one, the best. Meeting with sponsees, I mean, what do you say, Monday through Friday? You got weekends off? Right? He said Monday through Friday.
I forget. I don't know.
Yeah, you got weekends off, let's be honest. So listen, bro, like, I'm not saying you have to turn your life over to an AA hall, sit in the corner and fucking work the steps with newcomers the rest of your goddamn life. But having some sliver of service in your life is certainly going to benefit you. But if you can't keep basic practice of recovery in your life and make that number one, you may not have much to transmit anyways. So
yeah, what do they say? Everything you put in front of your recovery, you lose, right?
Yeah, and I hate these fucking cliches, but like
it's important in the beginning.
It's important, and you know what? That was the case. That was the case with me. Like, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Everything in my life became more important than just like the simple truth of where I came from.
Yeah.
And when we live in that way of, basically what I heard was, oh, I got this full-time job now, full salary, and that's just where I ended up.
Which is amazing to begin with.
Which is fucking great,
Yeah.
Congrats. But it's like, it's flipped its head on you. It's like, oh, I got this job. There's nothing I can do. Like, yeah, I'm this only guy that's ever got a fucking job, 2 to 10 with a salary position. Sorry, I can't sponsor. I don't have 8 hours before 2 o'clock hits, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's like, come on.
Yeah, but also I think it's important to remember that as we get clean and sober, like it's a learning experience to be able to prioritize things and to schedule things and to like block sections of time that are to do things that are important to you. Those are all things that I had no idea how to do when I first came in.
Oh, dude, I can fucking do a load of laundry.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So you have to, identify and also sympathize and,
Yeah. No, and I'm being a dick just because, well, I mean, listen, dude, like, I hear you, I feel you. But at some point, you're going to have to make the decision of, can I structure my life around spiritual principles, or am I going to continue to swallow up what the world has to offer for me? Like, we may be, if you believe that you're a true addict and a true alcoholic, That means you're suffering from a disease so horrific in nature that it requires a spiritual life to overcome. Okay, that's number one. Requires a spiritual life to overcome. Sounds like you've been sober a couple of years. I think he said he's been in South Florida for 2 years, I think. I'm assuming you got a couple of years sober. At whatever stage of the game, we lose sight of the spiritual life being number one, the world will pull us back into the darkness, and we think I'll just be like trying to be a good employer because I got this salary job. So it's like, it's so simple that we miss it. You know what I mean? And number one, meetings are the easiest thing to do. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, during the genesis of the 12 steps, when all those real motherfuckers got sober, they didn't even have meetings, bro. Like people don't talk about this enough. They had maybe after like 12 or 10 of them got sober, they had one meeting in a nearby city that they all drive to 30 fucking miles in close city once a month, meet at somebody's house and just get together and read scripture and pray and eat donuts and drink coffee. Once a month, maybe. You can close your eyes, throw a rock in South Florida and accidentally hit a meeting, right? Meetings are a byproduct of a unified field of people living in a spiritual way that come together and talk about how they live this spiritual way. It's so interesting how the easiest things to do and the most beneficial things for us, which are the easiest things to do, are so fucking hard to do. Like, how hard is it to wake up and pray, or wake up and meditate for 5 minutes, or call a homie and check in for 10 minutes, or read a daily reading or some type of spiritual material, or meet up with a sponsee for an hour? They're all really not that big of a deal. And you can also practice spiritual principles in your job. But, our purpose, people think they got to find their purpose in work. And I just want my purpose to be purpose is not, it doesn't start with work. Purpose starts here. When you start to truly live in your truth, and you start to, because we look at all these spiritual actions and we're like, oh my God, these are fucking joy killers, and they just burn up all this time and this energy. And it's like, once you start to really turn your life over to it, you realize how every other hour of the day they make magnificent. And here's a very, very powerful thing to say in relation to where you're at right now. First, we have to. Then we like to. Now I love to. Nothing comes before my spiritual growth. And it's taken a lot of years of pain to accept that. But my number one loyalty is to the development of my own soul. In the beginning, it was because I had to, because I was shown out of bitter experience that my life depended on that I was suffering under the weight of a disease that you can't go into a hospital and science and man, they can't touch it. They got nothing for you. So first we have to, then I started to kind of like the fruits of that labor. And now I love to, man. I love to. I mean, the hours I spend in, and I'm not saying this with any like gloating, but dude, I spend hours in spiritual practice and seeking a day, and it's just because I've seen the fruits of it in my life, and that's what I want. And as a result of that, the right job, the right people, the right relationships, the right sum of money, the right creativity, it all just darkens your doorstep. This is the paradox of spirituality.
It's a good return on those investments.
Good fucking return.
Yes.
It's money in the bank.
That's right.
And that's a good thing about spirituality is it's literally money in the bank. So you're depositing money in the bank every single day. That means that if you don't do it for a couple of days, your bank just dries up. It's like, No, you're getting richer and richer and richer. But dude, it's going to take hard work. Like you're going to have to fucking sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice. If you called and you were like, yeah, I worked this job 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. and that's that. And I'm like, well, it sounds like that's your God, you know? It sounds like that's your number one loyalty. So you got to ask yourself, where is your loyalty in your life right now? Is it to growing and developing into the highest version of yourself, or is it not? And do you think that that would be a solution, a blanket solution for your life? That spiritual principles may have the opportunity to move your life in the direction you've always wanted to move. So anyways, sorry and not sorry for being direct, but if you want to change your life, excuses got to go. You know, they just, they ain't part of the deal anymore. You know what I mean? I was one walking big excuse, fucking excuse now. You know, I'm either making a decision to do it or I'm making a decision not to do it. Shoulder the responsibility of your life. Take radical responsibility for everything you do and everything you don't do. And if you don't like the bill of goods you're getting, change the return. Do something different. Anyways, guys, that's episode 117. Thank you guys for sending in your voice memos. If you would like to do the same that you just heard on this podcast, send your voice memos into fromthegravepodcast@gmail.com. We'll play them and respond to them, and it'll just be a good old frickin' time. If you haven't checked out the website, check out the website for new merch, fromthegraveco.com. We should have merch up there by now from when we're recording this. I don't believe all of it will be gone, but check it out. We just had a new drop. And like, subscribe, all that good shit. We appreciate all your love and support. Streams are doubling every 2 weeks. YouTube's going up. So we appreciate and love your help with the expansion of From the Grave podcast. And it's all love, man. We really appreciate it. So peace out.